Surveying, fires, that's caught. Randall Cobb into Chicago territory. Randall Cobb inside the 20-yard line. Randall Cobb is going to score.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin. I am Eli Berkovitz here with Zach, as always. Interesting day here in America, and we're looking to bring you guys a bit of a distraction for all the chaos going around right now in DC. I'm just hoping everyone out there, protecting the Capitol to stay safe and that things quiet down and people get their heads on straight and get the hell out of there. Because, obviously what we're seeing right now is kind of an embarrassment and something that should never happen anywhere, really. So if you're tuned in right now, I hope we can bring you some good Packers talk and kind of distract you from all that badness right now. But Zach, how do you respond to what we're seeing right now?
Well, the reality is it's embarrassing. At the same time, you and I, we have a job to do.
Yeah.
And, see, Eli and I, we're just a couple of idiots. And when I say idiots, I'm talking about myself.
No, I'm included there. Don't worry.
No, you're not. We come here every single week to talk about football, regardless of what's going on. But given the platform that we have, and granted, this isn't ESPN, we're not big. Well, Eli might be. He's getting replies from Charles Woodson and Robert Tunyon and all these guys. So, he's a big deal now, but we still have an obligation to come here and talk about football with you guys. But given the platform that we have, we feel like it would be a great disservice to just completely gloss over everything that's happening right now and act like it's not. Like just tune it out completely. And I know everybody loves using sports as a distraction, and I get it. But at some point, when you have dudes out here throwing a fit over a lost election and the results over it, and they're being compared to protesters who were fighting for their lives and for just equality, and they just so they weren't being killed. That's all they were fighting for, so they weren't being killed, and they're making those comparisons. When you have those kinds of things happening and being just storming into the Capitol building, this is regardless of who you voted for. It's embarrassing. It's abhorrent. This is where we are right now. And the reality is today, our country, everybody in it, we all showed our ass. That's what it is. So there is a lot to talk about today. There's a lot to talk about as far as football goes.
Yeah.
And we are going to get to that, but we weren't just going to pretend that this didn't happen,
Yeah. To go and just, obviously this is a football-based show, but you can look at what's going on right now and just completely ignore it. No matter, like you said, no matter who you voted for, this is an embarrassment as a country as a whole. Just no matter where you are, this is something, I was talking to Zach before the show. I feel like I'm watching Game of Thrones right now. Like, this is out of a movie, out of a TV show, and not in a good way. And I hope it gets under control and the people doing these awful things get stopped, because, there's just no place for that in our country or anywhere. It's awful. So we weren't going to ignore it, but we're also here to talk Packers football, because there's a lot of football to talk about, and it's a lot of good football to talk about for the Packers. So let's just jump into that.
One more thing. I do want to point out that someone died today. A woman died today, and in the midst of all that, the terrorism, the rioting, someone did die. And then you got that sloth posting on his Twitter account, that sloth, pathetic excuse of a president posting on his Twitter account. And that might alienate some viewers. It might alienate some followers, whatever. But this transcends political parties. This transcends all of that nonsense. You know, you got someone who lost her life, someone who lost your family, who lost a daughter, a wife, whatever. Someone lost their life, you know, and then you got him going on his Twitter account talking about, you know, go home peacefully. We love you all, coddling all of all of these people like they're his children, and it's complete bullshit. But like Eli said, we have football to talk about. Packers #1 seed for the first time in 9 years, and that's good.
Yeah. Look, I know it's weird, to talk about good news right now when unfortunately there's so much bad news. But you know, Lambeau LeBeau, always appreciate you watching. But yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to sit here and pretend that some of these outside, you know, things outside of sports aren't happening. When it gets to a level of what we're seeing right now, it needs to be spoken about because it's just wrong. And hopefully, for anyone listening, you took something out of that. But now let's turn our attention to some more positive news. Like Zach said, the Packers clinching the #1 seed for the first time in nearly a decade. And they didn't just clinch it, they clinched it by beating the Chicago Bears. We should have sent them home, should have sent them packing for the season, but the Cardinals couldn't get the job done. But that's fine. They'll lose this weekend versus the Saints. But Packers win it 35-16 in Chicago. It was close for a minute, but it was never really that close. And I mean, just your initial thoughts coming off that game, which was for the most part a pretty good beatdown, similar to the first one against the Bears.
That game, I mean, it was a really close one. It was uncomfortably close throughout, but I mean, you kind of, at least I did. I got the sense that it was going to be that way. I predicted like a 31-23 ball game, and you know, throughout the duration of the third quarter, when the Packers only ran 8 offensive plays, it kind of seemed like it was going to be that way. It seemed like it was going to be a close game down to the wire. But the Packers, they were able to pull away in the fourth, you know, and like I said, that 35-16, that 19-point margin of victory right there, I feel like it wasn't as wide of a gap as it seemed on the scoreboard. I feel like the Bears kept that uncomfortably close, and I think for them, for Bears fans, and for people in Chicago, I think that's in the midst, in the grim situation coming off of a regular season loss like that, right in your finale. I think there's something to kind of take away from that, you know, going into the postseason, going into New Orleans. So, but for the Packers, I was hoping, I tweeted during the game that, you know, a strong fourth quarter, regardless of what the outcome is going to be between San Francisco and Arizona, going into, you know, the fourth quarter, having a strong fourth quarter to kind of cap off the season, regardless of what happens in the other games, a strong fourth quarter would be huge just to get kind of catapult yourself into the postseason on that kind of like uplifting note. And they were able to do that. Like those last however many minutes that
I mean, they had 2 fourth quarter drives spanning it. I mean, one drive, 12 plays, 7.5 minutes long, 76 yards for a touchdown. And then after the Adrian Amos pick,
3 plays,
got it in the end zone, weren't messing around. And, you know, they threw that touchdown on 1st and goal. Most people were expecting a run there. But I think 2 things. Number 1, like I just said, everyone was expecting a run. They passed and it worked. Number 2, I believe Aaron Rodgers wanted to get Davante Adams. That 18th touchdown was pretty clear. And I'm happy. I'm happy Davante got that. And I mean, I'm just happy to see Aaron Rodgers. I think we can comfortably say he locked up the MVP. I mean, we said that last week after Tennessee, but going out with a win in Chicago, throwing 4 more touchdowns. Was it? Yeah, right? 3 touchdowns. Yeah, no, 4 touchdowns.
He threw 4. Yeah,
he threw 4 more touchdowns, and just a lot of good out of the offense. And one thing that we keep talking about, and we don't actually get to in the show, but I think we got to speak for a minute about Nathaniel Hackett and the job he's done as the offensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur may call the plays, but we know that Hackett seems to bring the energy to that offensive room, and he does so much behind the scenes, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit amongst the fan base. So, Zach, you know, looking at the job Hackett's done, number 1, what are your feelings on him? And also, you know, who knows if he could end up as a head coach in the near future. I think he was asked about it today, and obviously that's, you know, part of his long-term plan.
It's actually interesting that you said. I'm counting on you here because I didn't get to watch those interviews today. Because as you can see, a lot of things were happening today. But so I'm relying on you. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after the season. He's definitely been just a huge, just underrated aspect of what the Packers have been able to do. And kind of like, when you look at what the Packers have been able to do on offense, and everybody kind of points to Matt LaFleur, this young offensive guru, Sean McVay's and the Kyle Shanahan's, and nobody thinks about Nathaniel Hackett. Nobody looks at the offensive coordinator. They just look at him. They think of the guy that said "yeet." As Trevor said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Trevor, happy you're tuning in. Yeet, exactly. When I heard Hackett say yeet, that's
you guys have some beef to sort out, or?
No, don't worry. Me and Trevor are good. We're good. But when Hackett said yeet, I knew we had a real one right there.
Yeah, that was the no. I won't. $5 for beer in LA. If I talk in that voice for the rest of the show, hey, I might just do it, man.
Yeah. It would be hard. I think you would come out of the show probably not feeling your best. Maybe avoid doing that.
I will come out of the show hating myself if I talk like that. But you know what? I'll come out of the show talking like this. I might just do it anyway.
Yeah, that's
like Kermit the Frog.
That's good entertainment. I miss some Kermit the Frog. We could all use some Kermit the Frog right now.
But as far as like assistant coaches go, it's like nobody talks about Nathaniel Hackett. And you look at the offensive line, you see like Matt LaFleur. He always points. He always points at like Adam Stenavich and Luke Butkus. Guys like that. They are responsible for some of these position groups excelling the way that they do.
Yeah, you've got you're done. That does sound a bit like Mahomes, by the way. That's not a bad call right there by Next Level Pack.
Oh, God,
yeah, you wish you were a Super Bowl champion, MVP, and worth $500 million. I think most of us would be right there next to you. Mahomes, what are your thoughts? I mean, like you said, I don't think there's any thoughts to be made about MVP. I mean, I might argue that if there's someone, again, I'm not saying Rodgers won't win it, and he should, but I could maybe argue that Josh Allen, when you want to talk about valuable, what he's done for the Bills, you can make the case over Mahomes.
I agree. And you can also look at their schedule too. I mean, because I know those guys take that into account. I think Lambeau LeBeau, he was asking me because I was sounding like Mahomes.
Oh. I'm trying to, yeah. I mean, we've got so many wonderful viewers with the comments pouring in. It's hard for me to keep up, but yeah, this we know for sure. Zach definitely has a bigger arm than Mahomes by far.
I do. Hey, 100%. I do.
But yeah. So going back to the game, so Aaron Rodgers, number one. Let's give a shout out to Dominique Daphne, first career touchdown. And then even more exciting, that hit he put on Cordero Patterson just moments later on the ensuing kickoff. One of my favorite plays of the year. I mean, especially out of the special teams unit, which has been our biggest weakness, to see him come in and absolutely lay out one of the NFL's greatest kick returners really in its history was very impressive. And I just think that he's bringing an energy to this team right now that no one could have saw coming.
Dude, yeah, I wrote a story about him earlier this week, and it was like, I mean, there's only one guy on the roster, not including Aaron Rodgers, who has fewer catches than Daphne, and it's Josiah DeGuara.
Oh, that makes sense.
Daphne has 2 catches, and yet he's probably one of the most intriguing guys on the roster right now. He has a catch for 13 yards in back-to-back weeks. He has that touchdown, and then he laid that big hit on Cordell Patterson, and it's not even like just those things that he's doing like in the passing game. He's been great as a blocker, and we've talked about that on this show the last couple of weeks. Like, he's made some big blocks. I think it was him that made that block actually when it was against the Titans or it was against the Panthers. I'm not sure. But it was
on the Panthers.
When the play broke down and Rodgers ran for 5 yards or however many yards.
Yeah, where him and Jones were miscommunicated. Yeah, Daphne completely took Burns out of the play. If he didn't, Rodgers is on his ass real quick.
Yep. That was the play. So next level, Cole, can you just get this guy out of here? Lambo LeBeau, he has a good question. I think.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
Yeah, I think Daphne is going to have more of an effect on Mercedes Lewis than anybody else because, Mercedes Lewis, I don't know if they're going to bring him back on his 4th 1-year deal with the Packers, which would be just absolutely insane. Like I thought it was crazy that they brought him back on a 3rd 1-year deal, but if they do a 4th, then he does a lot of the similar things that Lewis does, and he's younger, faster, more agile. So, I think it may be time, but at the same time, he can't bring some of the things that Lewis brings off of the field.
Yeah.
That veteran locker room presence, that leadership,
Yes, but speaking of the tight end position, this goes along with it. Katie makes a great point. This last play of the game, a lot of Packer fans are talking about is maybe their favorite play of the game, maybe their favorite play of the season, to see Jair Alexander, nearly a foot shorter and 100 pounds lighter than Jimmy Graham, wrap him up at the half-yard line and pull his ass back to the 3 or 4 and end the game. Could not have been a more fitting way to close out the Bears and clinch the 1 seed. That tackle by Jair was incredible, but real quick, going back to tight ends, we keep talking about Aaron Jones' contract, Corey Linsley contract. Obviously, before we were talking about the Kenny Clark and David Bakhtiari contracts. What are the Packers going to do about Robert Tonyan right now? Because he is, a restricted free agent coming up, and he looks like someone that we need to very much consider bringing back on a pretty good deal.
I don't want to catch shit for this, okay? I don't think Robert Tonyan is otherworldly. I don't think he's great. And a lot of his success is as a result of the scheme. Hence why he hasn't really done anything crazy. He hasn't run tremendous routes. He's done the things that he's been able to do purely off of his success. His intelligence.
Yeah.
He's smart. Yeah, and he's a good blocker as well. He does the things that you want your tight end to do. And the Packers can find that somewhere else. So if you can place an original round tender, God, I can't talk right now.
Yeah.
If you place an original round tender on him, like Trevor said, or even a 2nd round tender, some team is going to have to send you a premium draft pick if they want Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, and we'll take it.
Yeah, some team is going to be fooled by those numbers, by 11 touchdowns and the high volume stats. So that could very much happen, and it's like that. The Packers get a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, look, I know that, you preface that by saying you're going to take shit for it, but I can't argue with you. Tonyan has been really, a huge surprise and very good, but there's no denying that a massive portion of his receptions have come essentially wide open due to terrific scheme and play calling by Matt LaFleur. He's made some nice, diving catches, a few in specific where Rodgers maybe could have hit him in the chest for a touchdown, but he kind of laid out for them. I believe versus Houston and Minnesota, those plays happened. But it will be interesting because I agree with you that Robert Tonyan himself may not be, some kind of all-world athlete, as in the fact that if you just find someone, whether it be DeGuara or Sternberger, as long as they're healthy, and you put them in this scheme and they're the tight end 1, they could probably put up comparable numbers. Tonyan's wide open.
DeGuara was doing good things in the season opener.
Yeah.
In his first career game. And to answer Trevor's question, I think the original round tender is a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I think that's
for an undrafted free agent, I think.
Yeah.
Not totally sure. Don't quote me on that.
But I'm also, I'm far from giving up on Jay Sternberger. I've been on, the Sternberger train all along. And we did see some flashes early on before he got hurt. The Saints game, he had some big catches. Early in the year, he was, everyone knows tight end, it takes time. Robert Tonyan is now in his 3rd or 4th season. We're finally seeing something. To expect Sternberger or DeGuara to necessarily light anything up, especially when they've both been dealing with injuries in their first 2 years, is a bit of unfair expectations, I guess I should say. So it'll be interesting, to say the least, how they deal with the tight ends moving forward.
No, yeah, no, and you make a good point too. It's definitely one of the hardest positions to master, and it's such like a steep learning curve. These guys have to do so many like different things, and I mean, you got to be able to block, you got to be able to play inline, you got to be able to sometimes play in the slot. You got to, depending on what your position is, you got to be able to come into the backfield, be able to motion out into an H-back spot. It's just so many different things that these guys have to master, and that's why. No, Jacob, I didn't enjoy your banner work. Eli showed me last night.
No.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of it.
Jacob, you had me so confused, man. Like I was setting up last night for the game, for the film breakdown, and I won't get into specifics, but we had a banner pop up in middle of my film breakdown, and I'm like, I've been hacked by the NFL and all 22 coaches film. Yeah, this is true. I did think it might have been Aaron at first, but Jacob confessed to that.
Eli messaged me and he's like, "Oh, can you guess who did this?" And I immediately said, "Jacob."
Yeah. No, Zach had no doubts on who it was and that it was Jacob. But
freaks.
But yeah, so another fun aspect of the Packers game, outside of winning, of course, was in the fashion they brought the dagger, which 2 years in a row in Chicago, former Bear Adrian Amos delivers the dagger, intercepting Mitchell Trubisky on, we'll get to the play later because it's so much fun to watch. But I mean, just a stupid throw, an ill-advised throw, forced into coverage, and he just simply doesn't have the talent to make that throw. But like, I'm sorry if I could find it real quick, but someone mentioned, Savage and Amos and what they've done over these last few weeks. It's been nothing short of amazing. People talk about Jair as, the cover corner and all that, but in my opinion, this defense, I think, starts and stops with those two right now. I mean, they've been controlling the secondary and in the box all over the field. They've just been unbelievable.
It was Lambeau LeBeau.
Lambeau, yeah.
As usual, always on top of it. No, yeah. I mean, Adrian Amos, his play, I mean, Pro Football Focus even said it. Like, it's been his play these last, like, few games, and that interception in the regular season finale, that was what kind of catapulted him into that all-pro status for Pro Football Focus. So,
yeah, I mean, speaking of Pro Football Focus, the Packers have basically dominated that entire platform. Aaron Rodgers, number one quarterback, Devontae Adams, number one receiver, Corey Linsley, number one center, Jair Alexander, number one cornerback. David Bakhtiari finished second by 0.1 to Trent Williams on the 49ers, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't lose sleep over it, because that's just not right. And Adrian Amos finished second at safety. But Zach, this is our first show since the Bakhtiari news, and I kind of wanted to avoid it because it kind of makes me sad, but I feel like we got to discuss it. And also we got to give praise to the Packers offensive line for coming out after that and only giving up one sack in a play that wasn't even so much of like someone just got beat badly. Rodgers was moving up in the pocket. Someone caught him from behind. But first off, your thoughts on Bakhtiari, what it means for the team, and then also your thoughts on the offensive line now moving forward.
I didn't even realize this was our first show since it happened. I forgot it happened on what, like that Thursday after?
Yeah, it was right. It was the day after.
The day after, man. That sucks. See, on one hand, you lose a guy who he has just such like continuity with Aaron Rodgers, that offensive line. He's a bookend. He stabilizes everything, and it allows you to just play with your best four other guys. That whole offensive line comes together when he's there, and just how he is in the locker room. And Aaron Rodgers even said he's emotional, kind of like looking around before the game and not seeing Bakhtiari flip his hair back with wet water and stuff. And pardon my phrasing, but he not seeing 69 in the huddle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, you need it. You look.
His words.
Yeah, he wears number 69. There's no shame in that. I got my custom made Bakhtiari hoodie with the number 69, and I'll be wearing it, in Chicago. And forget the fact that there's a huge G on the front, which is never fun in Chicago. But then I have people, calling me immature or perverted or this, that. I'm like, it's the man's number, okay? He's aged 69. He knows what's up. We all know what's up. And he's the best left tackle in football. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was like heartbroken. I mean, Thursday I didn't even see it on Twitter. My brother called me, and I literally almost just fell to my knees. I couldn't believe it.
Screaming up into the rain. No,
what's happening? Yeah, basically.
See, but the thing is, though, as badly as it sucks, I think, and I wrote about this and I tweeted about it, everything. The Packers, more than any team in the league right now, I think they're better equipped to absorb this type of blow than anyone.
Yeah.
Just because the guards that they have are so capable of flipping out the tackle between Billy Turner and why am I drawing a blank? I literally wrote like 1,000 words about this, and I can't think of anybody else's name.
Turner, Elton Jenkins, Lucas Patrick.
Can do it. Yeah, Lucas Patrick. I mean, I wouldn't play him at tackle, but
Wagner.
Yeah, Wagner and John Runyon can fill in at guard as well. I mean, you got Rick Wagner at right tackle, who also gutted through a knee injury at Soldier Field.
Yep.
They have the interior depth to kind of like supplement if they need to move a guy to tackle, and it's just they have. You playing around with the thing on here?
What did I do? No, I'm just putting up our banner. Why did you say wrong?
Okay. No, I was like, I could have sworn I saw something pop up, but never mind.
Yeah, just making sure everyone knows where to follow the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, make sure you guys know where to follow the show. Game On Wisconsin.
Julio, we appreciate you coming back once again.
What's up, Tulio?
Love having you viewing the show.
And like they play Billy Turner at left tackle. You can keep Elton Jenkins at left guard. I mean, they have so much versatility and flexibility there in the interior to just do whatever they need to do and kind of get by for now. Now, if another guy suffers an injury, then they might be in a little bit of trouble and they might need to get a little more creative. But this type of adversity, it's not foreign to them. They went 3 games without David Bakhtiari, 3.5 games actually without Bakhtiari earlier this year, and Rodgers was sacked twice in those games. Yeah. They went 2-1. They scored over 30 points in both of those wins. So, they have the guys to get by, So I don't think it moves the needle much as far as like their playoff chances go.
Yeah, well, here we got a good question here from Demo1224. What is the Packers' kryptonite? And before we get to it, I mean, Trevor kind of stole my answer because I think they are really they're the only thing that could get in the way of the Packers right now, in my opinion, is the Packers. I mean, we've seen in years past where we know you can trust Rodgers in the offense to probably put up the points needed, but you weren't all that confident in the defense. This defense is playing at a different level we saw at the beginning of the year. I don't really have a lot of concern over them. I for sure don't have concern on the offense. Here we go. I mean, Jen is just hit basically right on the head. That may be the weakest link on this team and could be what potentially, costs them in the playoffs. But outside of giving up, let's say, a disastrous punt or kickoff return touchdown, Zach, outside of, injuries, of course, what do you think could be the biggest hindrance for the Packers getting to the Super Bowl?
You guys kind of both really pointed to it. It's themselves. It's those mistakes, which really all come on special teams, or if they fall into like a lull on offense, which they did against the Colts, they did in the third quarter against the Bears,
the Panthers game.
And the Panthers game.
Real quick, like what you just said with the Bears just now. I mean, so we had the MVS drop, and we don't need to necessarily go into that because again, we know what MVS is. 20 minutes before that, he made a 72-yard touchdown catch. So obviously, yes, seeing that drop was disappointing. It hurt. It sucks to see it. But what scares me more is the way the team responded, which was not good. Throughout the rest of the third quarter, like you said, they ran 8 plays. They seemed frazzled. They just seemed a little bit like shell-shocked while you're still leading a game. And we saw this in Tampa, the pick six happened. and it was just a cascading trail of events that led to getting embarrassed. So, I mean, what scares me is, can this team overcome an interception, a bad drop, a fumble, a blown coverage? For sure the offense, just they need to know that what they're doing works. You're going to have some mistakes, but as long as you continue to do what you've been doing all year, one drop or one interception by Aaron Rodgers shouldn't change that. They're all human beings. They're not going to be perfect on every snap. I just don't want to see them get in their own head about it.
When your offense is your best defense, there's such like a fragile line of, like, if you make one mistake, like you said, everything can fall apart. Like, can they rebound from that adversity? We've seen it a couple times throughout the season, but other times it's like it's been concerning.
Yeah.
Like it's they've been in positions where they shouldn't be in. Where other teams climb back into games. Like, I mean, the Bears, they went 1 for 5 in the red zone, and the Panthers, they were just as bad. If both of those teams weren't as bad in the red zone, like if the defense doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, which who knows if they can do that in the playoffs against even better teams, both of those results are drastically different. We might not be talking about a 1 seed right now.
We have to give credit to Mike Pettin and the defense over the last 8 weeks, but also, the bend but don't break thing, which has always been, it works, but it's been frustrating to watch when you're kind of giving up long drives and this, that. But if you are locking up in the red zone, it's a strategy that can work. But again, we locked up in the red zone against Mitchell Trubisky, against Teddy Bridgewater, against maybe Mike Lennon. Are they going to lock up in the red zone against Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Russell Wilson? It's not going to be nearly as easy. So while the defense has made its improvements, I don't think they can expect on a drive-to-drive basis to basically just give up all the yardage and expect to come away with 3 points or eventually get that turnover play. Like, they need to be a bit more aggressive, I think, while the opposing team still has the ball in their own territory, and first force more 3-and-outs. Just if you have a 3-score lead, the dink and dunk thing works, but you can't do that from the first snap of the game.
And I'm not a coach or anything, I don't know what Matt LaFleur's looking at, and I don't know what he's thinking, but after there was their second possession of the third quarter, and Aaron Jones picks up 9 yards, 2nd and 1, and LaFleur admitted to this. To be fair, he's done this a couple times this year where he's owned up to something that he should have done differently. Aaron Jones picks up 9 yards. Next play, Rodgers escapes, throws an incompletion. He was looking for Al Lazard. Next play, the Bears blow up. It was a flare. Rodgers was looking for Aaron Jones. It was almost intercepted. Could have been brought back the other way. It was a really dangerous throw, but they blew up the flare, and you punt it right back to the Bears. It was a 2-play sequence, 3 plays, I should say, if you include the 9-yard run. It was a 3-play sequence that was 3 out of the 8 plays they ran in the third quarter. So it was just, look, LaFleur said that he should have just tried to pick up that 1 yard. Like, I feel like he just you got Aaron Jones and you got AJ Dillon, this goddamn battering ram in your backfield who just rushed for 124 yards the week before. Don't get cute with it. You know? Like I said, I'm not a coach. So I'm talking here as a stupid football fan who has followed the game my entire life, and I have loved the Packers for the last 21, technically 22 now years of my life. Just pick up the 1 goddamn yard.
Yeah, exactly. Number one, the fact that AJ Dillon only got 1 carry is really surprising to me. He completely balls out against the Titans, and I get it, Jamal was back, but you want to keep that rhythm, keep that confidence for him going into the playoffs when, you knock on wood, if anything were to happen to one of Williams or Jones, and we need him, but even if not, you going into Lambeau in the snow in that weather, having someone like AJ Dillon is obviously huge, and I thought they should have done a bit of a better job giving him some more work, keeping him in rhythm, giving him that confidence. But like you said, you have 2nd and 1. If you want to get cute, maybe on second down and maybe take a play action shot, teams do that, fine. It comes to 3rd and 1, just go to old school football and plow it down the middle. You have a great offensive line. You have 3 very capable running backs. No excuse for 2 straight passes when you start the drive with a 9-yard run. That just like you said was definitely the part of the game that bothered me the most.
And to be fair with the whole Williams and Dillon thing, I mean, like Williams only played like 7 more snaps, I think, than Dillon, and only had like 4 more carries. I think he had like 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they were able to get both of them involved a ton. Like the Bears controlled the clock so damn well, and they were like 5 for 6 on fourth downs. They just kept converting drives, and it was
you know
like
what?
the most nauseating thing.
With the sneaks, I will say it till the end of time. A quarterback sneak is going to work 99 out of 100 times. And the fact that we will not do it is mind-boggling to me. We saw Trubisky do it to us, but forget it. We've seen Tom Brady do it his whole career. Even Drew Brees does the jump and the this. You see Carson Wentz do it. And yeah, you know what? Patrick Mahomes' kneecap popped out last year. That never happens, okay? That never happens. Aaron Rodgers, when he had his partially, messed up calf back in 2014 versus the Lions, he ran a QB sneak off that calf into the end zone for a touchdown. You need to trust Aaron Rodgers behind Corey Linsley, the NFL's best center, and that's not being biased, plain and simple, best center. And then you got Elton Jenkins and Patrick, who are great guards. It's 3 feet. Aaron Rodgers, and usually it's less than 3 feet, honestly, when we're talking about it. You take the snap, you fall forward, and you're done. And yeah, exactly. Like Trevor says, Rodgers got them thick legs. He's squatting. He can push the pile. But
600? I thought it was like in the 400s.
It was like 400, 450 maybe. 600 seems like more of a Saquon Barkley kind of number. But
yeah, those are Matub numbers.
Yeah, Matub, exactly. But this I like this out of Aaron because she makes a good point. James Starks, he came out of nowhere in 2010, and it was mostly the Eagles game. Well, you know what? I can't even say that because he was great in the Eagles game. The Falcons game, Aaron Rodgers took over, and then the Bears game, he scored a touchdown. And then in the Super Bowl, the Packers, I believe, actually still hold the NFL record for the least amount of rush attempts in a Super Bowl with, I believe, 9. It was either 6 or 9. But Mike McCarthy basically said, Aaron Rodgers, you're going to win this game. And, well, he did. But Zach, right now, if you had to pick someone that really out of nowhere, I mean, obviously on the roster, you don't have to go to the practice squad, but who do you think can really step up and be a key part throughout the playoff run?
AJ Dillon.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that's not fair. I was gonna say him before he said that. Get out of here.
You're stealing the viewers' opinions. Unbelievable.
No, I wasn't even looking at him. He's not even important.
I got him. But yeah, AJ Dillon. So why don't you continue with that, what you see out of Dillon and how he could be the key to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, before I do that, I want to address Jen's comment. You don't need legs when you got 34-inch pythons. Word to Hulk Hogan. Okay, brother.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. I mean, he was made for those types of conditions. You know what I mean? It's going to be cold in the divisional playoffs, and knock on wood, assuming they make it to the NFC title game. Yeah, it's going to be cold in the NFC title game. Okay, so I mean, it is screaming his name, and for all we know, maybe that's why he only played 5 snaps against the Bears. Maybe they're trying to keep him fresh off of a big game against the Titans. Maybe he's just really damn sore. Who knows? Yeah. So, and yeah, exactly. He came from Boston College, so he has that. He has that built into his blood. He's used to that type of thing. So, I just think he could be a really big factor in running against a defense such as Tampa Bay's. Exactly. That big defensive front that gave the Packers a shit ton of problems in that meeting back in October. This could be the guy that wears them down, and then you unleash Aaron Jones on him late in the game. That's a recipe for success right there. I mean,
I'm with you on that. I think Dillon, you drafted him in the 2nd round. This is why. I mean, plain and simple, January football, in Lambeau Field is why you drafted a man of the size of AJ Dillon. So I hope they use him right. But I'm here with actually Ben on this one. I think
Hmm.
come playoff time, teams, I mean, it's inexplicable as to how we continue to see Davante Adams get man-on-man coverage like a lot. It just doesn't make sense. If I was defending him, I would basically have two corners, almost like punt gunners, just we're knocking you out of this play and let anyone else beat us. And if anyone in the NFC does that, Tampa, they have some good corners. We all know what Marshawn Lattimore can do in New Orleans. And wherever it is, if a team decides to say, we're going to double team Davante Adams on every single snap, there's going to have to be other people that make plays. And I think it's going to be Allen Lazard or MVS because, Robert Tonyan could catch goal line touchdowns and he could go in the flat and get some good plays. But when you need a receiver to make a play, we need MVS to catch those deep balls, and we need Lazard to be that 10 to 20 yard kind of guy that Rodgers can trust. And I feel like he has been that guy, but I feel like Lazard really hasn't been as involved in the offense in maybe the last month or two than he was earlier on in the year.
He has maybe not like getting the targets, but kind of like the same thing we say about MVS. He's been involved like as a blocker.
Yeah.
Like he's been doing his thing as far as that goes. But I mean, you really with the Packers, we talk about them getting Davante Adams involved and Aaron Jones involved and kind of keying in on their top playmakers. They're doing that.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes away targets from some of the other guys. But yeah, I mean, as far as your number 2 receiver goes, you obviously want to see him get more targets, get more involved. But he's doing pretty much what they asked him to do. And
yeah,
I mean, they've been able to move the ball pretty well despite that.
Yeah, I mean, Lazard has been, his value as a blocker cannot be understated or overstated, I should say. And same goes for Mercedes Lewis. I highlighted it on Twitter. Aaron Jones, he probably doesn't score that 5-yard rushing touchdown if Mercedes Lewis didn't go one-on-one with Khalil Mack, the best edge defender in the NFC North, Zadarius Smith. And he just pushed him out of that play and led Aaron Jones right into the end zone. But just to, kind of a recap on the season and some of the unbelievable things we've seen out of this team, and obviously out of Aaron Rodgers, career high touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, NFL record, the only quarterback ever to throw 45-plus touchdowns, under 5 interceptions with a 70 or above % completion percentage. This is his best completion percentage of his career, 70.7. That's damn good. Drew Brees was always known for his accuracy and getting the completion percentage. Rodgers is, 70. If you're completing 7 out of 10 passes, doesn't really get any better than that. You have Aaron Rodgers. This stat, and I wrote about it today for Packer Report. And passer rating, a lot of people look at passer rating as kind of just like a weird stat that no one really gets. But Aaron Rodgers played 16 games this year. 14 of them, he had above 100 passer rating. In 10 of 16, he had above 120. That's just ridiculous. It's an NFL record, number one, the 14 games and the 10 games. But just the consistency to be so good, so careful with the football, avoid sacks, everything he's done. Could you say that this year outdoes his 2011 season?
I would still put the 2011 season up as number 1, but this is number 2 for me. And then number 3 would be 2014. But number 1, I think that was more just, it wasn't even the scheme that they were running or anything. That was just all the weapons they had. They were going 5 deep at receiver. Then you got Jermichael Finley out there. Like that was unfair. It was disgusting. That should have been banned from football. Now you're seeing they don't have, you could argue they're not even 3 deep at receiver. They could maybe not even 2 deep. They got Davante Adams.
I was going to ask you, when you said wide receiver 2, I was going to ask you who you're referring to between Lazard or MVS. That's what we're talking about.
That tells you right there.
Yeah.
So, they're probably not even 2 deep at receiver. They just got Davante Adams and good guys, average guys, guys that you can do some things with. But, everything they're doing now, it's a result of Matt LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers kind of doing all of that off-season work on his lower body and just all of the training he put in. I mean, he's 37 years old now and he's having a career year. I mean, the fact that he's 37 and we're having this conversation about, which season is the best of his career when he's been starting for the Packers for 13 seasons. Like it's ridiculous. So it's a huge credit to Matt LaFleur that they're able to do this with the guys that they have. I mean, it's Aaron Jones, it's Devontae Adams, and like those are the big names.
Yeah.
Outside of having like a top one offensive line, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
I will give them that.
Yeah, they do obviously have a great O-line, but like you said, I mean, I think it's the offense, just Matt LaFleur, and again, and basically what I wrote in my article today for Packer Report.
Go read it.
Yeah, if you'd like to read it, I would appreciate it. But if you don't have the time to read, I'll tell you right now. I mean, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, they're meshing so well, and I think the biggest part of it is that in the past we will see Aaron Rodgers hold the ball for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds, just looking for something deep. Because number one, he was always looking for the big play, and number two, I don't think Mike McCarthy gave him a lot of check down options. There was usually 4 verts or a lot of guys running in the same area where it's like there's 4 guys now stuck in the same. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again.
Giving me PTSD.
Exactly. So Rodgers' willingness to take what the defense gives him is a huge part of it. And when people say that, a lot of times you think Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, take what the defense gives you, check it down 4 yards, check it down 5 yards. Aaron Rodgers' average air yards per attempt this year is 9.6 yards. Second best in his career, only behind 2011, where he averaged 10.5 air yards. But Aaron Rodgers is somehow being the most explosive of his career while being the most careful of his career. I mean, it's almost like you want to talk about the perfect quarterback. You see those memes on Twitter where you take Rodgers' arm and Peyton's brain and Lamar's legs and you have the perfect QB. Rodgers is looking like basically the perfect QB right now, and it's really amazing to see just everything he's doing. He doesn't seem to be stoppable. Like, everyone was saying before the year, he's going to go on a mission and he's pissed off about the draft pick. Whatever the reason is, it is clear that he's on a mission right now, and I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop him.
We got to credit James Jones for a lot of that because James Jones is he's like a damn fortune teller.
Yeah.
I mean, he predicted the Packers to go 13-3 last year.
Yeah.
I don't know what he predicted this year. Was it 13-3 again?
He was, either 13-3 or maybe even 14-2. But no, James Jones is a Packer for life. But he doesn't do it out of bias because he knows. Like he knows Aaron Rodgers better than almost anyone probably alive. And, he saw it. That the night of the draft, he must have seen or heard from Rodgers or whatever it was, and he knew. He said, this man's going to go out and he's going to go for your throat. And that's what Rodgers has done the entire season. And yeah, Janelle, because I have seen this and it bothers me a lot because you know what? The O-line does deserve a lot of credit, but please, it's Aaron Rodgers. The guy's making throws that are absurd on a weekly basis.
Give Aaron Rodgers, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, and one of the best tight ends ever, and then a backfield of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell.
And Andy Reid.
What was that?
Andy Reid is another.
Andy Reid, yeah.
Yeah.
And watch him throw for 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns.
I mean, look, no discredit to Mahomes, but I don't know if there's ever been a quarterback who walked into a better situation in NFL history than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he walked into all-pro receiver, all-world NFL history tight end, first ballot Hall of Fame coach. It doesn't get much better. I mean, if your third weapon is Sammy Watkins, a former top 10 pick, a former star, and yes, you know what? He hasn't lived up to it, but he's Sammy Watkins. He's not going to drop that ball that MVS dropped on Sunday. That's the difference. Demarcus Robinson against the Falcons 2 weeks ago, he caught the game-winning touchdown after Mahomes' should-be pick on the play before. Look, again, no hate towards MVS, but I can't sit here and tell you 100% MVS brings that ball down. Demarcus Robinson did. And Demarcus Robinson is like their fifth option. Demarcus Robinson is someone that barely gets talked about, but yet he makes plays because the Chiefs offense is just loaded beyond belief, really.
They roll out a track team every single week.
Yeah,
that's
speed.
That's pretty much what it is. And they have this mastermind as a head coach to design all these plays. We haven't seen Patrick Mahomes. I love Patrick Mahomes, okay? He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in football, one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we haven't seen him in a shitty situation. We haven't seen him face some kind of roster adversity, you know, like we saw Aaron Rodgers in 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, lose Tyreek Hill, or no, more importantly, lose Travis Kelce for a year and see what happens. You know, it changes things.
See, I hope he never does. Okay,
No.
I'm like wishing that on him.
No, I didn't. You know, I did not obviously not mean to injure Travis Kelce, but yeah,
I know what you meant. Come on.
Well, if I don't like putting that bad energy in the world because I don't need it coming back on me.
Right. Oh, if you're really Mahomes, you'll know this. What's your favorite brand of ketchup? You want me to go in my fridge and get my Heinz?
It has to be Heinz, and if you say Hunt's, then I don't know. That's this.
See, if I'm speaking as like a normal person out of the Kermit voice, then it's got to be Heinz. Like
Heinz. I mean, Heinz. You buy Hunt's ketchup, you're doing something wrong. But before we continue to talk about ketchup and Kermit the Frog, let's jump into some game film. And because it was a fun game to break down, and we're going to start with that MVS touchdown. And to be honest, I think a lot of you have probably seen this already from Dan Orlovsky, but he broke it down so well. And I feel like if you haven't seen it, you're going to enjoy it. So here we go with this touchdown. So here, watch, this is Robert Quinn, defensive end, running back and forth. Rodgers clearly sees this is a blitz. So look here. He's telling Jamal Williams to stay where he is on the outside, and Danny Trevathan, he knows, is covering MVS one-on-one, and we're going to see the other angle in a minute. But Rodgers knowing a linebacker, not a chance in hell is he covering MVS one-on-one. It goes for the touchdown, and then we should see the side angle coming up right over here. I believe so, yeah. So he's the blitzer right here, number 20. Rodgers recognizes it. He knows he has just enough time to get that throw off. Him telling Jamal Williams to stay on the outside was basically saying, stay there, don't bring more attention into the middle. I know that this guy is not going to get to me before MVS gets past Trevathan. And as we saw, it worked out perfectly. It was a beautiful throw, right in stride. MVS caught it. Wonderful news for all of us. And, I mean, it made the Bears defense look good. And, when you're playing the cover 2 defense, everyone says you attack the seam. Rodgers saw it, and he executed it perfectly. Yeah,
I mean, it was great hearing him kind of break that down on the Pat McAfee show too. They have the 3 wide concept on the right and then the 2 wide on the left. And he kept calling Jamal Williams Aaron Jones, but it's okay. We'll forget that.
That surprised me that he did that. Honestly.
He's getting old, man.
I don't want to say it, but I have now 3 times this year that Aaron Rodgers referenced a play of his own and has been off on either the year or maybe the receiver involved, and that's not something we see out of Rodgers. So I don't like that very much. But
he's going to be getting that ARP card pretty soon. I mean, he's getting up there. It's a loud ass plane. Sorry. But yeah, no, it was some he recognized the 2 linebackers, Trevathan and Quinn. He recognized that confusion pre-snap. They didn't really know how to get aligned, and he took advantage of that. If you show Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I made this reference earlier at the beginning of the show, but if you show Aaron Rodgers kind of like your ass pretty much, then I mean, you're pretty much showing your hand. I mean, he's
showing your ass or showing your hand. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, Rodgers, phrasing. Sorry.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, he's a master of his craft. You can't. I mean, you gotta approach him with a poker face. If you're shuffling in the middle like that at the second level, and you're getting your alignment is off in the slightest. I mean, especially like you said in a cover 2, attack the seam. That's what they did. And MVS, he can outrun. He even said it, fastest player in their team. That's what Aaron Rodgers said. he can outrun anybody in the Bears secondary. So if you manage to get him matched up with a linebacker, I mean, if he motioned Jamal Williams back, into the backfield for pass protection, then that was probably gonna.
I think that would have brought the safety into the middle, the free safety closer to the middle, and probably would have clogged that hole for MVS to go deep. He said, stay out there, let them think maybe we got some kind of bubble screen going on, and you're going to be forced to cover Jamal and Devontae at the bottom of the screen on the left side, and that's going to keep the middle open. And that's just the genius of Aaron Rodgers. And Orlovsky, he was just obsessing over the play on NFL Live and just the way that Rodgers recognized it, because Jamal was supposed to motion back in, and he was just, stay there. I know it. I know that I'm going to get this done. And he did it. I felt like it was Madden, like when I'm playing Madden and I see no one in the middle and I got my slot guy change the route, just go straight, and it's a touchdown. It's exactly
a go route.
Yeah, you're going to go route. It's exactly what happened. So it was perfect. But let's now break down Dominique Daphne's first career touchdown. And it was a good play by him, but it was also a lot to do with the presence of Davante Adams, and Zach pointed that out wonderfully. So here, we'll just show you the play from this angle. I mean, look at this. These linebackers right now, look where Rodgers. Rodgers is looking at Davante. These linebackers are reading Rodgers' eyes. In the meantime, they're not paying attention at all to Daphne. Boom, he slips behind them. We'll replay it again in a second to slow it down. But here's Davante. Rodgers is going to stare him down, knowing, look at this right here. Boom. All three of those linebackers are ready for Davante, and the safety at the top is more prepared for Davante. No one's covering Daphne. Boom, wide open. And I want to pull it again from the top one more time just to show you the way Rodgers, the way he uses his eyes every week, just his head, it's all the way right. It's like, okay, this ball's going to Davante, no doubt. These linebackers see it. They start flowing right. Daphne moving left in the opposite direction, and you have yourself a wide open touchdown. So you have Rodgers pre-snap being a genius, and then you have Rodgers mid-play just fooling people with his eyes. So what did you see out of that play that got you excited, whether it's about Rodgers or about Daphne and, oh God, Zach?
I can't.
You have talent?
I can't do Daffy. I can do Donald Duck. Actually, no, that was bad. Forget that ever happened. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just, my favorite thing about that play was just the way Rodgers, he set his body entirely. Everything was aimed at Davante. Everything was aimed at Davante Adams. His eyes, his head, his feet.
Yeah, Zach, that's it. That's getting clipped up at least 15 to 20 times for the rest of the week. So
great. I can't wait to log on. I'm logging out. I'm logging out of Twitter for the rest of the week. I'm just not even going to bother.
You know what? With everything going on Twitter right now, might not be the worst idea to log out anyway. But yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that was for all the ladies.
Yeah, all the ladies out there, if you're looking for a Daffy Duck impersonator.
Yeah, Jen asked, so that was for you, Jen. You created this monster. We've seen this multiple times this year where Davante Adams, he just draws the attention of multiple defenders, whether they're linebackers, whether they're defensive backs. It doesn't matter. He draws that much attention just from his mere presence. He wasn't even doing it. He wasn't even really running a route. He was like jogging. He knew the play wasn't really gonna go for him. And again, we've seen that multiple times this year where it's kind of like it's just the design of the play where he's just kind of like iced out of the play. Yeah, and he just
decoy.
A decoy, exactly. And Dominic Daphne, all he really does, he just runs, gets behind the defense. He kind of takes advantage of that distraction. And Rodgers, quick flip of his hips back.
Boom, right on the money.
Worst case scenario, if the window doesn't look right, if he's apprehensive about the throw, he can just throw it out the back of the end zone. Exactly. So it was a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And he becomes the 11th player to catch a touchdown for the Packers.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns Sunday to 4 different players. And, we talk about Davante getting all this attention. I had to throw this play in here because you want to know why someone warrants that much attention. just look at this catch here by Devontae. He's going to come across your screen right now. Number one, that route is sick. It's going to slow down on the second go round, but just look at the smoothness, the way he reaches back with one hand. Again, great route. And then he reaches back and just boom, snags that with one hand, like as if that's normal. Just boom, I got it. That is not a normal play for a receiver. That could have been an interception potentially if he doesn't catch that ball. So you wonder why you'll have four guys staring at Devontae Adams. That is why.
I did not know that was a one-hander.
Yeah.
That's
watching live, you couldn't see it, and when I saw the all-22, I was blown away. So I knew I had to throw that in there. And then our final film breakdown play is going to be the dagger by Mr. Adrian Amos, because me and Zach decided we needed to enjoy it because it's so much fun to watch Trubisky throw awful interceptions. So here is the quick version. We have Amos at the top. He's reading Kmet the whole time. He knows where he's going. It was never even close, honestly, for Trubisky. It's going to slow down, and we'll show you what the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Mitchell Trubisky when it comes to eyes. Okay, I'm not sure if it's going to be on this clip or on the next one. Okay, but the next one. I mean, just an awful throw. But look here. Look at Mitch Trubisky staring down Kmet the entire play. His head, from the moment he snapped the ball, went straight to where he was going with it. In the meantime, we just showed you a play where Rodgers stared down the guy he wasn't going to and then went to Daphne for the touchdown. So obviously I would never bother comparing Mitch to Rodgers, but it just goes to show you that a quarterback's eyes is such a huge part of it. And if you're gonna snap the ball and stare someone down the whole way through, you're gonna get picked off, especially when you're going up against a great safety like Amos.
My only like trying to play devil's advocate here. Maybe he didn't see Adrian Amos. I don't know, because he was so fixated and clued in on Cole Kmet.
Might be worse for Bear fans.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not surveying the field and not even looking at the rest of his reads, and he's just locked in on that one guy, and he can't even see the safety back there. Like, if you think your tight end can meet Christian Kirksey, then yeah, I get it. You make that throw, because Kmet, he was beating Kirksey down the seam. He was winning that route. But how the hell do you not see Adrian Amos there? God, if you're a Bears fan and you're hearing all these rumors about them possibly giving Trubisky, or should I say Trubutsky? If you hear the rumors about them possibly giving him an extension, then you have to feel just miserable.
I think it's hilarious that there's been so much talk about him getting an extension. And you know what? If you guys want to extend him, I am absolutely not going to complain whatsoever. But I'm just I was looking for a play here, but it looks like I can't find it. But yeah, like you said, Trubisky, it was just he locked in right away on Kmet. Amos jumped in front, basically ended the game. And somehow, though, even with a loss, the Bears find themselves in the playoffs. And so while we're running a bit on time here, let's take a quick look ahead at the wild card round, or should I say the super wild card round. I mean, they're milking that super wild card round as if it's so clever for all it's worth.
With it, man. We get to just chill and relax for a weekend. Yeah. 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. Just relax.
I'm very excited about it. I plan on probably losing a ton of money to the great people at FanDuel, and I'm just gonna watch stress-free, no Packers. And look, I'll probably miss it at some point, and I'm gonna want to watch the Packers, but I never mind some good playoff football without having to stress about the Packers. But looking at potential opponents, I believe the Packers only have 4 potential opponents. The Bucs, the Washington football team, the Bears, and the Rams, I think it is.
Yes. Okay,
so looking at those 4 teams, I think it's pretty obvious the team you would most like to play, Washington for me. Would you agree?
I might say the Bears. I mean, I'm not a big fan of playing.
And I guess, I kind of assumed the Bears lost. But yeah, if the Bears beat the Saints,
Oh, we'll see. Everything's on the table right now. Anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Before we do this, we have to be super open book next week, according to Jen.
Oh, super. Well, we're going to be super open book in February when we're at the Super Bowl. How does that sound?
But yeah, anything could happen in the playoffs. If I had to pick a team that I wanted to play the most, and I would pick the Bears, even despite how reluctant I would be having to face a team 3 times. It'd be hard beating a team 3 times.
Yeah, we had that, I think, with Minnesota in 2012.
2012, yeah.
And I mean, Joe Hebb game, yeah, what a weird night that was. But yeah, it is. No matter how much better you may be, beating a team 3 times in one season is not easy whatsoever.
Yeah, and the football team, they have a really good defense that could give the Packers some problems. Even despite their issues at quarterback right now, it's still Alex Smith, and he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing when he's out there. So
yeah, I'm more afraid of. Sorry about that. I'm more afraid of. I was trying to get the Tanyan touchdown because the throw by Rodgers was just so insane. I wanted to highlight it, but for another time. But I think the Washington football team defense, I mean, call me crazy, but I think they have a chance against Tampa. I mean, everyone knows the recipe to beating Brady is a 4-man rush. And if you can create pressure with a 4-man rush, Tom Brady gets isolated. And I mean, it would be quite the thing to see the Washington football team take out the Bucs.
And the Buccaneers are going to be on the road for that game. So
yeah, I mean, Tom Brady, 4-4 record on the road in his career in the playoffs, 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, I believe. So he's been
8 games on the road in his career in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what happens when you play in the AFC East. I mean, he literally played. He played in the worst division in maybe all of sports for 2 full decades. Between the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, there was maybe 1.5 competitive teams throughout his entire tenure as a Patriot, literally.
And Aaron Rodgers can't even get a home NFC championship.
Yeah, I mean, and then even when Brady gets to the playoffs, we've seen him go up against, the Marcus Mariota-led Titans, and then, I mean, it seems like somehow and then, look at this year. You can go and say Tom Brady lucked out again by playing a 7-9 team in the playoffs. Look, some people just have that kind of luck, I guess, coming their way. But so looking at the Packers, I guess to close out the show, I mean, which team and which game are you going to be looking at the most closely in the NFC as it pertains to the Packers moving forward in the playoffs?
Which team am I going to be looking the closest at?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we said who do you want to see the most? Who would you be most afraid of?
Definitely the Buccaneers. Yeah, Lambeau LeBeau pointed this out a couple times. It would be the Buccaneers. I don't know if the Packers would have enough weaponry defensively to kind of combat what the Buccaneers would be able to do on offense, and especially the last few games, Tom Brady's found his stride. At multiple points this season, they've been down in games. They've been able to come back and form some kind of surge where they've been able to just claw their way back and somehow win. Or if they don't win, they get pretty damn close. I'm not gonna, bring the first meeting with the Packers into the equation because that was an anomaly. It gets thrown out the window. And when David Bakhtiari went down, I mean, that throws off really everything. Aaron Rodgers threw a couple weird picks. The whole, everything fell apart.
Those picks went down. I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers, like you said, it's an anomaly. It just is. It's not something I'm concerned about. Yeah,
and I know Brady's been in Florida now for a while, so he's probably not really super used to the cold anymore, but he's still played 20 years in New England. So, that's not going to negate all that time he spent playing at Foxborough and in the snow and in the cold and in the rain, all that. They're finding their stride right now, just like the Packers are. So they could be a problem if they can.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Bucs, it's funny because they're from Tampa, but just Brady alone, you could say they're the most equipped team to come into Green Bay because that the Saints out of the dome, they're not going to be comfortable. The Rams, Jared Goff in the cold, we've seen him in the cold. That's just honestly a joke most of the time. I guess the Seahawks have performed, but we beat them last year in Lambeau in the cold. But the Bucs, in a way, seem to be the team most equipped to manage in frigid Green Bay weather. But yeah, I would agree with you that out of our potential opponents, the Bucs have to be the scariest. And I mean, Janelle brings up a good point, but I think Kamara, number one, I hope he's feeling good and it gets better, but I expect him to get back. It's just kind of how things go. Unless you're the Browns, when you lose your head coach and one of your best offensive linemen, and then they're out, which, by the way, sucks for the NFL. I feel bad for the Browns fan base in general that had to happen. But, yeah.
And with Kamara, I feel like they purposely put that game on Sunday so he has a window. Yeah, we're on to you bastards. We know what you're doing.
They came out and said so firmly that they're not going to let COVID dictate the schedule. But magically, that's the only NFC game on Sunday, while the other two NFC games are being played on Saturday. Yeah, coincidence, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that as any kind of coincidence. We all know the NFL, as Lambeau LeBeau says, they want that money and they want Alvin Kamara on the field. But before we close out the show, number one, make sure to give Zach a follow at It's Zachariah J. You can find me at Book of Eli _NFL. Again, in regards to everything else going on, I wish, everyone the best, just to stay safe and hopefully this kind of dies down and things get back to some kind of normalcy. And next week, we should be hopefully, we'll be recapping the wild card games. Wow, we've got 2 weeks until another Packer game, huh?
Yep. Okay,
well, look, we're going to have plenty to preview next week against whoever we're playing. I'm confident that the Packers will be able to take care of it. And then last question of the day, play Saturday or Sunday? I got to go with Sunday. How about you, Zach?
Sunday, easily. I got a weekly routine, man. I don't want that shit messing with me.
Can't do the Saturday games. And also, the Packers are too good to put on Saturday. You got to put them on Sunday. Chances are they're going to be Sunday prime time. Chances are it's going to be Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Rodgers, Brady. That game is going to go down Sunday night, probably prime time, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But everyone who tuned in, we appreciate it. Tulio, all the way from out in Brazil, I believe. Everyone who came to watch, thank you. Aaron Rodgers is your MVP. David Bakhtiari, we love you, and we wish you a speedy recovery. And go Pack, go. We will see you all next week.
Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe.